Hi Jamie, I hope you had a good week and got to enjoy your Thanksgiving. I wanted to comment on your video post because, like you, when I was looking over all the violations from my state, it was a bit sad to see so many names and to also see what the violations entailed. I know when I was reading through the details of the offenses, some of them seemed a lot more alarming and disconcerting than others, especially coming from a mental health professional who is supposed to be someone who uplifts the community and restores relationships, and in general, just to be a compassionate and caring person to those who are hurting. But in reality, we do live in a fallen world and we are all human. It is my personal belief that we all have our own types of traumas and emotional baggage. And unless we are self-aware enough to address them and dig deep into the recesses of our inner world, unfortunately, unresolved trauma and baggage can rear its head in ugly ways. However, all that aside, I didn't just want to commiserate with you, although I can totally relate to where you're coming from, but I also wanted to offer a little bit of positivity and hope so that maybe it can give us something to hold on to when things can seem a little bit disheartening. So what I found was in an article written by Wilkinson, Smith, and Wimberly, 2019, they reported that results of a study where data was collected regarding the types of the complaints that resulted in disciplinary actions from professional counselor licensing boards in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. from 2010 to 2014 found that overall there is a relatively low rate, that's less than 1%, of ethical complaints that result in disciplinary actions when compared with the estimated total number of fully licensed counselors in the country. That means that in the big picture, ethical disciplinary actions appear to not be as prevalent as it seems. It's most likely looking that way because our assignment and research had us uncover all the violations that do occur. So they were very much in the forefront of our minds, and it looks like a lot just because we were reading case after case. It becomes the focus of what we were concentrating on, and so it naturally seems magnified. So I would say that's a really good thing, and it indicates counselors are more true to what we would hope and expect than not. Finally, I also wanted to comment on your question about how counselors are supposed to remember all the rules in the Code of Ethics, because I have frequently asked the same thing, but I also wanted to take a stab at answering it. When I began thinking about it, I realized that part of the remembering will come from different ways. The first is just experience and putting in the time in practicing the profession. You're naturally going to remember things after you've reviewed them hundreds of times. The second is you'll have supervisors and colleagues who will be there to help support you and guide you, so hopefully it'll stick more and more the more you hear it and read it. And third is while you're gaining your experience and putting in your years of practice, it's also realistic to recognize you won't be able to have them all memorized. And I'd be willing to make an educated guess that even seasoned counselors don't have every last section of the Code of Ethics memorized. So you might not ever have the entire thing memorized. What's important is that when you do have a question, you remind yourself that you can go to it and look at it, you can look to it to look up the answer and what you're looking for. So I hope that helps. Have a good rest of the week.